On social media, everyone is currently debating the same topic. Did Yandy Smith ultimately decide to file for divorce from Mendeecees? And if so, is Tamar Braxton's recent legal dispute the real reason behind it? The internet almost exploded with reports that Tamar and Mendeecees were involved in a major court battle, and Yandy allegedly took the terrible decision to end her marriage in the middle of it all. Fans are in shock. Tabloids are full of rumors, and no one seems to know where the true truth is. Did Yandy reach her breaking point, or did "what do you mean he shipped your uterus" the underscore is you doing? Huh, you underscore playing with me. I think I'm a underscore guy. Did Tamar's charges completely destroy Mendeecees' reputation? The most crucial question of all is if this is just another marketing stunt, or if we are witnessing a real-life heartbreak that is even more honest than reality TV. The industry seems to be divided. Overall, Yandy's ardent fans and Tamar supporters are at conflict on social media, both ardently defending their decision. Furthermore, because neither Yandy nor Tamar have released an official statement, the mystery further deepens. Everyone is wondering the same thing. Is this the end of one of the most talked about reality TV couples? Or is it simply what does it look like? What you mean when it's not what it looked like? You shook your underscore uterus. You playing with me, man? You got me underscore up. I ain't that type of underscore yo. Go play games with the beginning of a bigger scandal that is going to blow up. Hip-hop and romantic circles now have a completely different vibe. What once seemed to be a close-knit group of powerful spouses and celebrities has now turned into a battleground of allegations, heartbreak, and betrayal. Yandy Smith, a woman who was long considered Mendeecees Harris's pillar of strength and loyalty, is in the center of it all. Her name is currently in the news for a completely other reason, though there are reports that she filed for divorce following the shocking court case involving her husband and Tamar Braxton. It all started with claims that Tamar had sued Mendeecees for allegedly acting improperly during what was supposed to be a business meeting. Mendeecees has always portrayed himself as a loving husband and father who is trying to get past his challenging past, so many were surprised. As a result, nobody was prepared for the controversy that resulted from Tamar's name. People close to Tamar reported that she was distressed and crying. She reportedly told friends that she felt molested and insulted by the men, but as usual, the truth seemed to be obscured by layers of conflicting narratives, incomplete facts, and online speculation. Yandy reportedly received the news while preparing for a brand event at her home in Atlanta. She reportedly found out about it from a friend who saw the news, becoming viral online before she could even understand what was going on. One insider described the scenario as chaotic, with Yandy pacing in disbelief while her phone kept vibrating with alerts. She initially didn't respond, assuming it was just another internet myth that would eventually fade. But as more media outlets started to cover it and legal documents were referenced in the coverage, the situation became inevitable. Yandy's pals claimed that she immediately attempted to get in touch with Mendeecees, but he did not reply. Hours passed before he returned her call, and by then the damage had already been done. Someone close to the couple claims that their conversation was filled with a lot of stress and tears. Yandy reportedly demanded answers, asking, "What did you do, Mendeecees? What were your words to her?" Mendeecees denied all of this, saying that Tamar was twisting the story and that the reports were exaggerated. But Yandy was unconvinced because she knew that once a scandal of this size took over the internet, the truth often got lost in the commotion. Celebrities also started to weigh in. Some of Tamar's closest friends reportedly advised her to remain strong, while others warned that making such charges public may make matters worse. The entertainment industry reacted swiftly, with fans posting conflicting opinions on social media. While some supported Mendeecees and said the whole situation was simply another media ploy to undermine black families in entertainment, others supported Tamar and praised her for coming out. The topic had become so divisive that hashtags like "SourStand with Tomorrow" bombed Team Yandy, and even Protect Mendeecees Yandy, who had helped the Mendeecees through public scandals, financial difficulties, and jail time, was suddenly forced to reevaluate all of her marriage-related beliefs. According to insiders, she barely slept for days, mentally reliving past exchanges in an attempt to spot any clues she might have missed. Did Mendeecees and Tamar previously have a tense relationship? Had something happened during an event or on set that she was unaware of? Every unanswered question felt like a new wound. In an attempt to handle the situation discreetly, Mendeecees talked about truth coming to light and staying grounded in faith in a few vague social media posts, which only served to fuel rumors. Fans began scrutinizing every word, trying to figure out if he was confessing guilt or defending himself. Tamar, on the other hand, was mostly silent, with the exception of a few cryptic posts that hinted at disappointment and emotional suffering when she tweeted, "Some people you trust will turn your peace into your trauma." Her followers were desperately trying to figure out who she was referring to. The tension reached a breaking point when leaked court documents began to circulate online. Blogs claimed that Tamar had actually filed a court complaint alleging unwanted advances and distressing interaction with Mendeecees despite the lack of formal confirmation. The mere suggestion of court participation was sufficient to dash any hopes of privacy, even in the absence of tangible proof. Once the legal aspect was brought up, it was clear what Yandy had decided. And given how publicly this was being played out, she was unable to protect the Mendeecees. Those close to the couple claimed that Yandy and the Mendeecees got into an emotional argument inside their home, with Yandy confronting him directly and asking, "What happens to me if I stand by you now and it comes out you're lying? What happens to what we have built?" Yandy had heard enough of Mendeecees' attempts to reassure her that he was innocent and that the truth would be revealed. According to those around her, she looked crushed, as though she had lost both her marriage and her faith in the person she thought was her closest confidant. By the end of that week, a number of media outlets began asserting that Yandy had discussed divorce with her legal team, although her agents didn't immediately confirm it. Insiders close to her said the choice wasn't rushed, but rather took years to make. She had put up with countless hardships to maintain the marriage for so long, but this one felt different. This was more than gossip. It was about public humiliation and a degree of betrayal from which she could never fully recover. The scandal only grew more intense as the days passed. Reporters covering news programs, entertainment, and gossip websites couldn't stop talking about it. Yandy was depicted by some as the strong lady who was finally escaping a terrible cycle, while others condemned her for divorcing her husband too soon. Behind the headlines, however, many who knew her well said she was just fed up with trying to keep her family together while everyone else watched it fall apart, of being the one to put things right, and of pretending that the public opinion didn't hurt. Despite all the noise, Tamar remained strangely quiet, focusing instead on promoting her new ventures. Some considered her refusal to participate in theater as a show of maturity, while others saw it as a sign of remorse. Still, the damage was done. The relationship between Tamar Mendeecees and Yandy was one of the most talked about topics in entertainment, but no one knew how it would work out. What had seemed to be separate lives had come together to form a complex scandal that could no longer be avoided. As the weeks went by, the scandal's ramifications only got worse. Every day, there were new rumors, new feelings, and new emotional wounds. The online argument had turned into a battleground of opinions, and everyone felt entitled to pick a side. Supporters of Tamar were fervently defending her, posting excerpts from her earlier talks about suffering and betrayal, and claiming that they had always believed she was a powerful self-advocate. However, there was a clear tension between the three of them, and things were far worse behind closed doors than anyone had anticipated. However, several of Mendeecees and Yandy's followers denied that he was capable of doing so, calling the whole incident media manipulation. According to insiders, Mendeecees was becoming increasingly eager to direct the discussion, in an effort to get their mutual friends to publicly endorse him and vouch for his moral character. He started reaching out to them. Some did, arguing that Tamar was misconstrued and that his remarks didn't represent the man they knew. To avoid getting caught up in a legal and emotional maze, some people, however, decide to keep quiet. According to a source familiar with the situation, Mendeecees even attempted to speak with Tamar directly in an effort to clear the air, but she refused to speak with him without her attorney present. Even though that decision made sense, it only fueled speculation that there was more to the story than was being disclosed. In the meantime, Yandy had isolated himself from the public glare. For a lady who is known for being confident and in charge, her sudden quiet said a lot. She stopped posting family photos online, canceled her scheduled public appearances, and avoided all interviews. Her usual friendliness had been replaced with a muted sorrow, and those who saw her observed that she seemed distant. One friend claimed that Yandy was mourning her marriage, handling it as if it were a loss she could still sense but no longer relate to. For years, she had defended Mendeecees when others questioned his loyalty, but now that same loyalty felt like a burden. The tension reached even another peak when Tamar appeared at a charity event and was asked on TV if she had spoken to Yandy since the news broke. For a moment, the crowd was silent, unsure of how to respond when she stopped, inhaled deeply, and only muttered, "I pray for her." Was it sympathy, a subliminal message, or just fatigue from all the public attention? In any case, her statements revived the online discussion. It was interpreted by supporters as proof that Tamar had tried to keep the peace, but was defeated. Around the same time, a startling new rumor began circulating on social media: alleged correspondence between Tamar and Mendeecees from months prior. Even though the content's authenticity was never confirmed, it was explosive. Some claimed the communications were genuine and represented the start of a relationship that eventually got out of hand, while others believed they were fraudulent and possibly intended to generate drama, with compliments and late-night check-ins that many felt went beyond what was appropriate for a married man. They alluded to conversations that initially appeared amicable, but eventually became more intimate. Regardless of the veracity of the leaked texts, they severely damaged Mendeecees' reputation and made it nearly impossible for him to regain popular approval. Wendy's friends reportedly encouraged her to stay strong and focus on her children, while reminding her that she didn't owe anyone an explanation. However, Yandy, who was always fastidious, couldn't take the prospect of being presented as the broken wife. She wanted to take back control of her own life, not of Mendeecees or even the narrative. As a result, she began working covertly with her legal team, making a public statement and researching her possibilities for divorce. Insiders claimed that she didn't want a messy divorce or any public disagreements. She just wanted peace. She tried to move on, but the media kept her from doing so. Paparazzi who followed her around took pictures of her leaving her lawyer's office, which quickly went viral with headlines like "Divorce Papers in Motion" and "Yandy finally done." Mendeecees was beginning to come to terms with the truth of his circumstances. He was formerly regarded as one of the most esteemed guys in the hip-hop and love scene, but now he was the focus of constant controversy. His pals characterized him as reclusive and irate, not only at Tamara or Yandy, but also at himself. He was aware that perception had already turned into reality, regardless of the actual truth. He started staying out of sight, refusing interviews and avoiding events. Still, there were persistent allegations that he was seeking treatment, that he was planning a press conference, and that he was attempting to Mendeecees his relationship with Yandy. Although none of these were verified, they all contributed to the drama. Then followed one of the most poignant parts of the whole experience. According to reports, Mendeecees and Yandy met in private, out of sight, at a restaurant to talk about their relationship's future. The meeting was uncomfortable from the beginning. According to a witness, Mendeecees appeared anxious, constantly checking his phone before she came, while Yandy arrived first, appearing calm yet reserved. Unspoken words filled the air between them. When they eventually sat down, Mendeecees looked regretful but defensive, while Yandy was calm but aloof. According to the witness, "You have no idea how this feels," allegedly stated Yandy in a low voice. Mendeecees allegedly attempted to clarify, claiming he was set up and taken out of context, but Yandy wasn't buying it. "To have everyone talking about your husband and another woman, well, I have to keep pretending like I'm okay." The conversation concluded without a settlement, according to sources, and Mendeecees stayed behind staring at the empty seat in front of him, while Yandy left first, holding her head high despite her tears. Many who know them say that was the moment he realized he had truly lost her. The story went viral on social media right away, with fans writing things like, "This is heartbreaking, and we were rooting for you," in the comments section of their old couple photos. Even celebrities who usually avoided conflict began to comment, calling it a lesson in boundaries, while others said it showed how even the strongest relationships can be destroyed by celebrity. Tamar, meantime, appeared to have recovered her strength. Although she continued to steer clear of any direct reference to the incident, she started to appear more in public, projecting a calm and confident demeanor. Many took her ambiguous statements about healing and moving forward with grace as subliminal allusions to what had transpired. Critics claimed that her quiet merely deepened the mystery, while admirers praised her poise. Had she offered Mendeecees forgiveness? Have she have a private conversation with Yandy? Everyone sought answers, but nobody knew. Tamar, Mendeecees, and Yandy had all become symbols in a story that confused perception and reality, private and public. And even though the scandal's headlines would soon fade, the damage it caused would last far longer than anyone had anticipated. One thing became clear as the story developed: this was not your typical celebrity gossip. It had evolved into a representation of genuine human feelings such as pain, betrayal, and the difficulty of moving on when the outside world won't let you. As the public's attention grew, the story took yet another shocking turn. After being silent for weeks, Yandy suddenly broke her silence with a very moving Instagram Live. She thanked her fans for giving her space and for giving her time to think. But as the minutes went by, her poise faltered. She talked about loyalty, betrayal, and the hurt of learning that the person you once stood up for may have been leading a different life behind closed doors. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "I believed in love. I believed in him, but sometimes belief isn't enough." Thousands of people watched and left encouraging comments, like, "Stay strong Yandy, and you deserve better." Soon after, Tamar herself posted a mysterious tweet that said, "Truth always exposes itself," which fueled the flames even more. Fans couldn't agree on who the tweet was meant for. Some thought it was directed at Mendeecees, suggesting that she had finished defending him. Others thought it was intended for Yandy, suggesting that there were secret levels that nobody knew about. In any case, the tweet rekindled old arguments and spread like wildfire. Talk shows aired it, blogs examined every word, and critics speculated that Tamar might be preparing to discuss her legal battle and the events leading up to it. People with knowledge of the situation claimed that Tamar's legal team was working on a thorough case behind the scenes. She reportedly felt dehumanized and wanted accountability, not only for herself, but also to set an example. One insider claims that Tamar received encouraging letters from other women in the field, some of whom discreetly admitted that they had experienced similar things, but were too afraid to speak up. Despite accusations of exaggeration from opponents, the encouragement strengthened her resolve. Tamar allegedly told a friend, "They can call it whatever they want. I'm not going to back down. I know my truth." However, Mendeecees was struggling to restore his reputation. His management team reportedly recommended that he issue a statement, but every copy they produced seemed to make the situation worse. He might come across as insensitive if he denied everything, but if he apologized, it would seem as though he was admitting his guilt. He was caught between the two extremes and chose to remain silent, which ironically made things worse. Some supporters saw his silence as a sign of maturity, while others saw it as a sign of guilt. The turning point came when court documents showing that Yandy had officially filed for divorce began to circulate online. Fans who had followed their love story for years were devastated, but neither she nor Mendeecees publicly acknowledged it. The documentation appeared authentic, an official petition stating irreconcilable differences and emotional distress. One commenter said that we watched them fight for each other through everything, and now this is how it ends. As if viewers were collectively lamenting a relationship in which they had invested. Within her inner circle, Yandy was described as extremely wounded but resolute. Reports said she was trying to keep things stable while her world fell apart by focusing on her children. A close acquaintance said she occasionally sobbed uncontrollably, not because she missed Mendeecees, but rather because she was shocked by how messy and public things had.